Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I am here with another one sheet wonder. This is a little bit different than some of my past one sheet wonders because I won't be using any cardstock mats and you'll be making 4 cards. It's a very clean and simple design, but it's one that, because I like clean and simple cards, I find myself going to a lot. And I've done it before, but never as a one sheet wonder design where I really made sure to use up the paper. In the past, I've left myself some scraps. So I thought I should come up with a way to do it without scraps. So that's today. I have this as a downloadable PDF printable for you over on my blog. So there'll be a link in the video description to that. So you'll know what to cut. And then the coordinating sketch, there are some ways that, of course, you could change it up to suit your personal needs. I kind of like it down in the bottom right-hand corner with some corner rounding, but you could take the same paper strips and place them like in the top center of the card or all the way smack dab in the center and kind of shift these strips around to your liking. But I just kind of showed my classic way of doing it, or like the one I use the most. Now, as I cut my with my Swingline, it is first a 3x6, and then I have to cut every 3/4 of an inch. But one of the challenges of the Swingline trimmer is that it doesn't do a very good job of cutting small strips off of other small strips. So when I only had 1.5 inches of paper left, and then I was trying to cut that in half, it was really hard to hold the paper where I wanted to. I can make it work, but it's a challenge of this paper trimmer that has not been a challenge with as much of a challenge with like a Fiskars trimmer. And you want to definitely be careful, especially with it being a guillotine trimmer, if you're keeping your fingers close to the edge like that. Just wanted to kind of point that out because people do ask me about my paper trimmer, and that's always my biggest criticism of it. I like to corner round because I think it adds a nice little detail to this very clean and simple card. I am going to round the corners. I'm going to make only 2 cards today in the video. I'm going to do one with a 1/2 inch corner round and one with the 1/4 inch corner round because I think it's interesting to see how little changes can make a big impact in clean and simple cards. So for instance, in one of the cards, I'm using a simple white background, and the other one, I'm using the turquoise background. I die cut the Hello Sentiment from Simon Says Stamp out of the turquoise cardstock for the white card base and the white for the turquoise, kind of opposite of each other. I am using the HUGGABLE stamp set from ReverseConfetti, as well as the, I believe it's called Sweet Stripes paper pad set. The stripes can add a challenge because you want to kind of think about which way they're going to go, and if you don't line things up well, it's a little bit more obvious with a striped paper than some others. That is in general the biggest challenge of this card, is that you do have to be careful to line up these little strips well, and a ruler can help putting it against your grid mat to make sure that everything is in line, and pulling your ruler across those grid lines can be a big help for that. For my Copic coloring, I decided that I wanted to keep it really simple and put my shadows off to the left because when I was moving the stamp around, I picked this critter so that he could be to the left of the word. Some of the other critters, like the mouse, it didn't work out because his tail would be overlapping with the word, and that's not the look I was going for. I wanted the critter to be off to the left so that it would draw your eye towards the edge of the card and into the card and, flow nicely. That's the thought there. So with that in mind, I also decided to put the shadows on the left side so that the highlights or the bright spots of him would be towards the card, and that's where your eye would be drawn as it's drawn to the light in the picture. I'm going to put my darker shadows. I'm using E25, 23, and 13. I'm changing the first number in the Copics, and when you change the first number in the Copics, because a lot of times people use I'll use all the E2s, and I do often like E27, 25, and 23 together. But here I wanted a little bit more of an orangey look to go nicely with the turquoise. And by going from a 2-3 to a 1-3 and keeping that number the same at the end or going lower, you can blend across these blending families. And I'm doing the same thing here with the BGs. BG 49, 45, and then 2-3. by going from a 4-5 to a 2-3 and having that last number go down, it helps them to blend well. It's not as important for them to go down in the first number in my experience, but that can really depend on the color blending families. They're, the color group, like, maybe that's less true with E's, but more true with B's, etc. So I'm not going to try to share a rule with that, but for the last number, going down as you lighten your color, generally they blend better with that rule in mind. Another little tip I wanted to share was thinking about when you can save yourself some time by choosing a darker color for something. So for the snout and the nose, if I go for a darker color, when I do my base color, I can just color as one coat over everything, and I don't have to blend carefully around the snout area. And the same thing with the ears, which I did anyway. I colored carefully around the inside of the ear, but then when I made it in E49, when I colored it in with an E49, you wouldn't have seen if I hadn't gone around. So that can be a little way to help you, especially if you're coloring a bunch, because for instance, if you were making this one sheet wonder, you're going to get 4 cards out of it. So I had to color 4 little bears. Over time, those little things that you can do to save some time add up. I'm ready to glue my bear down onto the card. Instead of using foam tape, I'm just going to use 2 scrap layers of cardstock glued together to give it a little bit of lift. It's thinner than most foam tape, it's recyclable, and it's free. And I mention it every time because if you don't know the tip, it's just like one everyone likes to hear. If the first time you hear it, you're like, that's what I should do. So that is it for my cards today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will leave you links in the video description below to the products that I used, as well as to the blog post where you can find out how to download your free PDF to keep track of this one sheet wonder. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.